but the analysis of the situation, where it draws attention to the fact that Morales has overreached his mandate, has tried to jerry-rig, engage in kind of constitutional shenanigans to prolong his hold on power beyond what is constitutionally mandated, has overreached his popular base, has engaged, according to this article at least, and also in other kind of news stories, engaged in thuggery as part of to provoke and also to intimidate opponents, but also to provoke reactions from the other side. It's a very useful snapshot of what seems to be a fantastically confused and complex story, which is more than just the military coup. So I suppose the takeaway line is that as Democrats and as supporters of popular and progressive forces, always to be deeply suspicious and hostile of the use of military power in politics, but at the same time, on the other side, seems that tremendous questions also have to be put to what Morales was trying to do and how his supporters have tried to maintain him in power.
I think one of the aspects of the article that was particularly interesting is, I guess, the way that it's trying to flip on its head a little bit the narrative around who constituted the forces that that overthrew the government, and the claim that the left appears unable to accept the considerable segment of popular movements demanded the resignation of the government, and this is because they can't see beyond the leaders of the movements. And I think that's an interesting claim. I don't obviously the point Phil made stands that you have to be against any sort of military overthrow, but I think the analysis of the movements that are demanding the overthrow of this government is not what I had, or is not the narrative that I'd previously been exposed to on this issue.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's clear that there's a lot of fragmentation on the left there, and a split really between those supporters of MAS, the Movimiento al Socialismo, Morales' party, and various other organizations. I mean, the article points out, I assume readers will read it or already have read this article in advance of listening to this, but, that the main trade union confederation pulled the support and asked Morales to step down. So, it's a confusing picture. I think it's worth underlining two things. One is, there's a problem with a certain left point of view, which says, well, we were on the streets demanding that the president step down, therefore this is our movement. Morales stepping down is a reflection of our force and our strength, and so you can't call it a coup because you're taking away our agency and and the kind of practical work that we have done in forcing him to step down, and ignoring the fact that there are bigger players involved here, perhaps more powerful players who not only stand to benefit but end up being the main actors in this. And the second point, I guess, that flows on from this is, I guess, is it a coup? I mean, look, for me, I've been reading even the most sort of staid, liberal, think tank academic types on Twitter who are always very careful with their language, often a little bit too careful. I think they often pull punches. Here they've been quite explicit. Yes, Morales, the election may have been fraudulent. He definitely shouldn't have ignored the referendum against extending term limits, which he did back in 2016. There's lots of things that he's done wrong. Nevertheless, this is a coup, and disliking Morales and thinking that there's fraud, it doesn't make it any less of a coup. So if even those guys are saying that, it's definitely a coup. I think there's another thing which we can say is that it might be worth seeing to what extent this is a coup. I mean, maybe that's a bit of a mealy-mouthed way of putting it, but basically, how we interpret what has just happened, over Sunday night, over the course of Sunday, where first Morales offered to step down and hold new elections, and despite having done that, the military still pushed him out and made him flee. That what happens next impacts on how we see what already happened. So what will happen with the new elections, right? That happen. Will the military take power? Will they hold power for a determined period of time? Will they try to change the constitution? What will those elections look like? And so on. Will there be privatizations in an interim period? That then makes it very much a coup. If it's a quick resumption, new elections with Mas still able to stand and so on, you can say, yes, it's very bad that the military got involved. It still maybe makes it a bit of a coup, but it changes the picture quite a bit, and also makes the role of the popular forces involved seem greater than, and then that's basically what this argument puts forward in this article, that popular forces have been very important here.